My 3-inch barrel has these brackets either side of the smoke box. These are for hanging lamps. It doesn't currently have any lamps, so it's time to fix that. In my opinion, I think the most cost-effective way of doing this is to get a kit. That way I can add my own customizations, but I don't have to build them from scratch, and I don't just buy something off the shelf and throw it on. So let's get started. Got here a lamp kit for my 3-inch barrel. The kit comes with 2, and the castings are identical. Of course, they can be flipped around, so you end up with one each side. There's a LED with some electronics that enables you to turn the fake fuel tank into like a fake flickering flame. The brackets are spring loaded to replicate what the larger ones do. So I'm going to start by cleaning it up, getting the LEDs installed, and then start assembling it. Push the LED into the top of the holder. One leg is insulated and the other leg connects to the outer body to form part of the electrical connection. I've trimmed the leg off and then bent it over so it stays out of the way, and the next thing that goes on is this insulation disc, and then this wire will get cored round to make a contact the width of that disc, and then the washer will be put on top, followed by the battery. And then the bottom cap gets screwed in to hold everything in place. When this is screwed down further, the battery will squash the O-ring so that the minus side, or the negative side of the battery, comes in to contact with the bent wire, and this completes the circuit from the positive to the outside of the case, which then should light up the LED. So the castings still have this powder on, looks like maybe some sort of release agent, and there's areas such as this that need to be cleaned up, and on the back there. So the next step is just to go through and file and clean all of those up. After doing a bit of clean up, I've started to polish this front ring as compared to how it was, just to try and identify whether I paint the entire thing or leave some of it in brass. So the lamp will be roughly here, hanging off the bracket. So I think it'll look good in black against the black of the firebox, and with the highlight of a bit of brass, it should balance out with the amount of brass that's on the engine as it is. I think if it was painted entirely in black, it would probably blend in a bit too much. So it's to try and make it look like a feature without it sticking out. The other thing to try is just to double check that the bracket is going to fit onto the peg. It just seems to slip over fairly well. So the brackets are made up using these pieces, and they need to go inside like this. So I've just taken this to the disc sander, and all of the sizes are different, so I'm aiming to make them the size of the smallest gap so that they all fit in any location, and that way if they get mixed up during the painting process, it doesn't really matter. No part is specific to any location. So I'll just continue to take these all down on the sander until they are a consistent size. The casting has this sort of broad over lip each end, which the top also has a kind of lip to it. So when they get joined together and you don't drop it, you end up with this sort of double lip at the top, or double ring, and then a single ring at the bottom, which I didn't really like the look of. I can guess that you sort of have to have it on a lid, so it sort of determines where it slides into, and you sort of need it on both ends of this casting so that it's universal, so it can be either a left or a right lamp. So I decided to YOLO it and send a modification where I sanded that top ring off, so that when the top gets added on, you end up with a ring at the top and a ring at the bottom, which I think technically looks a bit better. Debatable, but I like it, so that's what I'm going to go with. I haven't really got a choice now anyway, so just remains to do the same for the other casting, making sure I get the right end. So the bracket sides are pointing to each other. This is the top I've removed, this is the front, so marked it with yellow. That's the end to remove and that's the end to keep. Worst case scenario, I could make a ring and put it back, but I think I'm going to stick with what I've got. So this is the current progress with the lamps. I've polished up what I think I want to keep in shiny brass, and the rest of it has had a coat of black paint, or a couple of coats. I did polish up inside of the lamps, but I think over time they'd probably oxidize, so I did coat them in like a clear varnish, which just dulled them down quite a bit. It was just an experiment really to see what would happen. Maybe that will peel over time, I'm not sure, but that'll be interesting to see. The next steps, there's a circle of glass in here. I think it might be plastic, but that needs to go in, and then there's some sort of glass. I'm not sure how it fits. I need to get them out and check and get them glued in. I'm not going to use super glue because I think that the vapours from that will turn the plastic white. So I think I'll probably resort to epoxy for that. And I want to try and get a seal around all of the edges because these lamps will be attached to the engine when it's raining out in all weathers, and we don't really want water inside these, so it's trying to make it look like a neat job. We don't want to put too much on, have it squeezing out all over the place, but we do want a complete seal around there. So I'm gonna have a look at that. So I mixed up some epoxy and I applied it using a pointy stick just around the lip that runs in there, and then pushed in the lens. I had a look at the ones that go in here and they actually fit at the front here, so I'm going to do them later once this is set, because I want to make sure that the surface in there is nice and clean before it gets sealed in. So I've cleaned all of the inside here. It's about as polished as I can get it, and I'm just going to apply this I guess clear varnish. I'm hoping it will dry in a way that makes it look shiny, that will stay shiny for a while. Try and get a thin covering, I guess, without it being streaky. So I'll go down and do the rest of that. Gonna wait for it to dry, and then we'll skip to gluing in the square glass. Fitting this window turned out to be the most challenging part of the kit. The shape of the glass didn't perfectly match the opening in the lamp body, leaving small gaps that had to be filled with glue once it was in place. Most of the contact area is along the edge of the piece, so I'm carefully applying the glue there while avoiding the face, which needs to stay clear. The instructions specifically warn against polishing the glass, as this would leave a frosted finish, confirming that the part is actually plastic. That also means I can't use any solvents to clean up the excess glue, so it's critical to keep it from spreading onto the visible surface. Let me know what you think of the lamp and the changes that I've made, and if you've made it this far, consider sticking around for future videos. Okay, that's one done. I'll just do the other one. Assembling the main lamp body is as easy as gluing in the light mechanism and the lamp top. I decided to use Loctite for this, as any overspill is easy to wipe off, as the liquid is not sticky like epoxy. I made sure to align the handle facing to the front of the lamp, as this seemed to make most sense if these were being carried. So I've got the instructions here just to see how it fits together, and you got a diagonal spring, so obviously as the weight of the lamp moves downwards, this hole will get further away from that hole because it's going to twist with these pieces, which would then stretch the spring, which would act like a suspension. I'll put it together like this. I'm not entirely sure I'll keep the suspension mechanism. I might just glue these solid, just to add strength and stop them from moving around. I've got all the pieces here. I've just gone through it with a drill bit. I had to go up a few sizes of the holes that are already there just to get the rods that are provided. These are brass rods, I guess, provided to go through the holes, and obviously the springs are over here. These holes that the hanging brackets go through look tapered, smaller at this end than this end. I assume that the large end goes down and the small end is at the top. Not sure it's really going to matter, but that's the way I'm going to do it. So it'll be a case of just putting this here and then putting in the relevant pieces, 2 of these for each one, with a rod through, remembering to put the spring through, although I think that one there looks open-ended. I think they are open-ended, so you can probably put them on after, and then just put the mechanism into here and put the rod through. Obviously the rods are going to have to be cut to length, and the burrs taken off from the cut. Hopefully there's enough rods there, and I'm not sure what's meant to keep the rod in, but I will put a little bit of glue on the ends just to stop them from working their way out. So that's the next stage. This is the initial assembly. I decided to go ahead and fix the brackets in a fixed position. Here you can see I have added glue and then clamped the brackets in place